Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do something a little bit different. It's not a painting video, but it is a crafting video. But don't worry, there is actually a little bit of painting in it, and I will do painting videos, but actually I feel like from now on the channel is going to be more of an eclectic mix of creative stuff that I make, because I don't do just painting, and I actually haven't been doing a lot of painting in the last couple years actually, so the channel has kind of been a little slow. So I thought I'd share with you guys some of the other things that I make, and today's video is some fun little crafts for your tabletop RPG or like your Dungeons and Dragons game. These would make great gifts or just to gift for yourself. So hopefully these will be some fun, easy DIY projects that you can spend an afternoon just making stuff and having fun. So let's go ahead and get crafting. Okay, so for the first project, I'll show you guys how to make a dice bag for your dice, like a little pouch, without even having to sew. So it'll be really simple. I'm just using this piece of faux leather. You can use any kind of fabric that you want. You could use real leather if you had it. You could just use fabric. You can kind of theme it, the color, whatever, to your character. But what I'm gonna do first, so I just have a square of it, but I want it to be a circle. So I'm just gonna take a plate here and trace with just a piece of like tailor's chalk. You can use any kind of chalk or anything that will make a mark. I'm just gonna trace a circle around this plate. Doesn't have to be perfect. That, and then we will cut it out. Cut it out just using a pair of scissors. Now you can absolutely make a more professional looking pouch if you sew. And if you guys are interested in anything like that, I could make a tutorial about that too. I have sewn pouches before. But this one is a no-sew, super easy. Like you can make these gifts in an evening, kind of like last minute. If it's the day before and you don't have a gift, you can make this. Okay, so now I have my little circle. And so basically what you're gonna do, and you're also gonna need some string for this. So I just have this that I got at craft store. And what you're gonna do is we're gonna make holes going all the way around, and we're gonna thread that string through there. And then when you pull it like a drawstring, it's gonna pull it up and make a little pouch like this. Okay, so next what we wanna do is we're gonna poke some holes in this, and I'm just gonna eyeball the measurements. You could get a ruler out and measure, but I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. I'm just gonna take my little chalk and just mark roughly, we want these to be like, I don't know, maybe like a ½ inch from the edge or something like that. I'm just gonna mark, I don't know, maybe 1 inch apart or so, but again, I'm just eyeballing this. All the way around. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Okay, so I have the little dots going all the way around. They're not perfect, it doesn't really matter. So now I'm gonna take I think this is called like an awl. I'm not really sure. I don't even know where I got it. I think it's just from the sewing store, like probably from Joann's. It's probably for leatherworking. You can let me know in the comments if you guys know what this actually is, but I always just use it to punch holes in things when I need to punch holes in things. So that's what we're gonna use it for today. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just poke it through. You can do it on both sides too if you want. Yeah, just poke these holes. Goes through super easy. If you were using real leather, this might be a little harder, but I'm just poking it through this side so that, like, you can, I don't know if you can see, so that the leather looks like it's pushing in instead of sticking out, because it looks a little messier. So I'm just kind of lining it up behind it and then just poking it through on my little mark that I made. Oh, there we go, back around. All right, so that's all my holes punched in. We're gonna take our cord and we want this to be, let's see, depending on like how tight you want this opening. I want my opening to be able to open fairly large, and I also want this to be able to like loop onto like a belt. So if you wanna, you know, use this for your cosplays or for Renfur or whatever. So a good enough string where it'll go around, and once you tie it off, you have enough to tie and then like have a little extra. So I think this is probably pretty good here, because yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and loop one side, sticking out, and you want it to stick out on your pretty side here. And then we're gonna go loop it around. So we'll just go almost like you're sewing. So loop it through, in, and out, and we're gonna go all the way around. Just gonna pull this through, and now we have a super cool little pouch that you can put your dice in. So just open it up, put in your dice or your coins, or whatever treasures you have, and voila. Super cute, super easy little leather pouch. And like I said, if you make the strings long enough, you could tie this on a belt, use it for cosplay, or if you don't want the strings that long, you could cut them shorter. But there it is. Dice bag. And you don't have to sew or anything. Pretty cool, right? Yay! Okay, cool. All right, next project. For our next little gift idea, we're gonna use one of these dice cases like this. And we're gonna make like a little, I don't know, somebody else has probably already figured this out, but we were playing D&D and I realized, I was just kind of playing around with my mini, and I put her inside and I realized these dice cases make the perfect little glass case. And they fit perfectly inside. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. You could use these to display your minis. And then I thought, well, what would be really cool if you had the little case, but then make like a little diorama. So I thought you could paint yourself a little background, and you'd leave one side, you know, open. Just kind of like the way they even have the paper in here, you know, but paint a background on that. So I thought that's what we would do. Paint a little background on a piece of paper, and you could switch it out. So, you know, so we're just gonna take a piece of sketch paper. So I just have a piece of sketch paper here, and I'm just gonna use this to kind of measure because I only need it to cover, you could do 2 sides or all 3 sides. I'm gonna do 3 sides because I kind of want it to wrap all the way around her. So I'm just gonna kind of measure really roughly here, kind of, think about, we can always trim it, yeah, to about here. And I think we want it to be about here. I'm just kind of, and you can use any paper you want. I'm just using kind of a heavier sketch, from a sketch pad paper, because I do want to paint on it. You could also probably draw your scene with markers if you prefer, or whatever you prefer. So, a little piece of paper fits in there quite nicely. So this is about, yeah, it's just under 4 inches. But good. Okay, so now that this fits in here perfectly, now we can paint something on it. Now you can paint whatever you want on it. Because my character is a wood elf and she's like a ranger rogue, I'm gonna go with a forest scene for her. So if you guys watch any of my other videos, you might recognize my paint tray. I haven't cleaned it really. Don't pay any attention to that. But just like all my other videos, just some kind of tray or something to paint on. They make disposable, you can use a paper plate, but they also make disposable like paint trays, papers, whatever. I have a paper towel to wipe my brushes on. I have a jar for some water and my brushes. I'm just gonna use really small brushes today. Let me put some water in this. Okay, so I have a little bit of water in my jar to clean my brushes. And we're just gonna go ahead and paint a cool little foresty scene. So I'm just gonna use I find that like lately, this is the same color palette I've been using for almost all my paintings. I'm gonna use black and white and then blue, magenta, or like a reddish, but I like magenta for my red because it makes a really nice purple, and yellow, so your primaries. And then because this is a forest scene and we're gonna use brown, and I don't really want to have to make my own brown, I am gonna add a brown, pre-made brown in there too. So let's go ahead and put these on our palette. I'm using golden paints, but you don't have to use the same brand as me. You can get these at Michael's. Any paint will do. These are just acrylics. You could use any kind of paint you want. You could watercolor if you wanted, just depending on what kind of style you want to go for. And it's really small, so you don't have to get super detailed on this. So now this can go inside of our little case. Stick her in there, and then there we go. Pretty cool. You could probably paint the outside too. I might paint that like black so it's not this white color. Okay. So I went back and painted the outside black so it kind of has a cleaner look, but there it is, the little diorama. Cool. And so there she is inside of the little case. And so then the final project I have for you guys is how to make your own dice tray. So like I said, this is the one that I made. And I even got like a little pin and decorated it, which you can totally do. Now I did a little divider in mine, so you can like create a little space for your dice. So you can totally do that if you have a spare piece of wood. I don't have a spare piece of wood that size on hand today, so we're just gonna make a tray, a rectangular tray. So again, you can do that if you like, but today we're gonna keep it very simple. We're just gonna make a rectangular tray to roll your dice in. So this is just something I picked up from the hobby store. And this one is actually gonna be a gift for a person. So on mine that I made before, I used a really dark wood stain and I stained it, but you could stain it, you could stain any color, you could leave it natural like this. But for this particular person, I think I'm gonna paint it black for them because I think that they would like black on black. And I also got this black piece of leather that you can just buy these, like these little squares at, I got this at Michael's, but like any craft store I think has these. So it's not the exact size, we'll have to cut it down, but it pretty much fits perfectly in there. So we'll just trim it and we'll glue it down to the bottom and just makes a nice soft, you could use felt also if you wanted, or suede. But for this particular person who's gonna get this, I think that they would like leather. And it just gives a nice soft surface for your dice to roll on. So yeah, so it's just a simple box, a scrap of leather. We'll need a little bit of glue and a little bit of paint. So I'm gonna paint this black. I'm just gonna spray paint it black, or you could hand paint it if you want, whatever you find easiest. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint this. And then when it's dry, we will trim down the leather and just glue that to the bottom, and that's it. Super, super easy, fancy looking dice tray. Okay, so now that this has been painted, so I just painted it black. I did go back and touch it up with a brush a little bit. So it's painted black now, and this wood really does absorb the paint. So if you wanted it to be more of a solid glossy black, you'd probably have to do several coats, but this actually just kind of makes it look like a really dark wood stain, which I kind of like, just like a black stain. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like that. I think that will look really cool, maybe a little rustic. So now we have our piece of leather, and it almost fits exactly. We just have to trim it a little bit. I mean, I should get a ruler, but I'm just gonna take this extra piece and just figure out exactly. Okay. This is laziness right here, but trim that down so that fits exactly. So use this to mark, and we'll mark on the back side here. And again, we'll get our handy dandy piece of chalk. and we'll just kind of mark it all the way down. To make sure. Okay, there we go. Just have like a little dotted line, basically. All right. All right, trimmed it down to size. Just make sure it fits in here. And it's still a little tiny bit big, so we're just gonna trim it down a little bit more. There we go. Fits perfectly. Now you probably could just leave it like this, but I want to glue it down so it's nice and so it stays there, so it's permanent. You could also, if like later you wanted to add a divider, you could just not secure it down all the way and take it out and then add the divider and then, you know, trim your leather. But for now, I'm just going to take a little bit of wood glue, and we won't tack it down super permanently, so that if they do want to remove it, they can easily and add a divider in there. But so we're just gonna go ahead and, is this brand new? Does it? Just gonna add a little bit of wood glue, just enough to kind of tack it down. Again, that way it wouldn't be too hard to remove. Plus, this doesn't get a lot of stress on it because it pretty much just stays like this all the time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and lay this down in here. And press it down. You could personalize this too. Like if you wanted, you could paint like a name on there or anything you like. But other than that, that's it. That is your dice tray. So now let's go ahead and get our little pouch of dice and try it out. There we go. Awesome. Oh, a 4. Just, whoops. Oh, 5. 10. 17, we'll take it. And there you go. So, 3 super simple, totally cool gifts for the D&D fan in your life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you find some of these projects fun and useful. And if you decide to make them, why don't you show me? Post them on social media, tag me in them. I'd love to see it. And don't forget to like and subscribe and tell all your friends and family about it. And if you have ideas for what I should make next, please put them down in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!